Hey, this is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit, and today we are talking about a very important topic: organic or not. What is organic? What is not organic? And to talk to me more about it and give me more insights about organic farming, I've got a person who left a well paying, cushy media job in Bangalore and other places in India as well. And he's now a full time farmer and a sustainable farmer at that. Manu Tripathi in the house. Manu, welcome to IndigoMusic.com. It's great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me on, Rohit. For me, yes, after about 20 years in the media industry, it's been about 7 years now since I've been farming.
Yeah.
And recently we've increased our acreage also. So you
And
can call me a proper farmer now.
yeah, and this is something that's happening all around the world, if I have to say. People who are in IT, they are going away from the hustle and bustle of the city and, starting farming and going back to the roots. And one big example is Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear and Grand Tour. He's now a farmer. He has 1,000-acre farm, and they've made a show out of it to educate people about
Mhm.
organic and sustainable farming. Now, this is where I
Yeah.
want to talk to you about, especially when it comes to organic farming. I've read that it takes about decades for soil to get back to its original state if chemicals were used while farming
Yeah.
before. So, when you grow something from that, is it still organic, or do you think it'll have traces of chemicals in it?
Okay, first, let's get down to the basics of what is organic. When you say organic, you say, I'm not going to be using fertilizers, I'm not going to be using insecticides, pesticides. Now, let's look at the pathogens or all of the viruses and all of the bacteria. If I ask you a simple question that over a period of time, have the viruses and bacteria mutated forward or backward? Is my question to you. Do you think your viruses have become more strong over the years? Bacteria have become more strong over the years?
I think so because that's how they adapt, isn't it? Like they adapt to become
Yeah.
more. If something needs to get affected, then it
Yeah,
adapt and it'll, you know.
that the mutation is always forward more than degrading. The only thing degrading is our population, probably by Elon Musk or whatever he says. But the viruses and bacteria have become more and more in number. So I would love the concept of organic to be truly organic for everybody, and I want it to happen. But it can happen in kitchen gardens. It can happen in half an acre of closed enclosure growing. These are all smaller bits. When you start looking at bulk, when you're looking at 10 acres, 15 acres, 30 acres, I would be very curious to know if people are actually able to follow, so to say, organic completely. Because let me just tell you, the organic certification itself allows certain amounts of elements of certain things that can be there.
Yeah.
Coming on to bacteria, bacteria have grown so strong that let me tell you this, at certain places, people are using such strong insecticides that when the laborers put it, they need to have a very thick gloves, otherwise their hands incinerate, but the worm doesn't die.
Oh,
So that's the other part of this. So when someone tells you how much of it is organic and not, yes, you can question it depending on your source. Your source, if you know it, is when it's going to grow organic. So
okay.
if you notice now, they are very clever with their packaging. Most of the people, they say uh, certified safe, organically grown.
Correct.
Yeah, so uspe ye nahi, they will not go ahead and say that, oh, it's pure organic. They cannot, because lawyers have become good enough now. They'll catch you and they will take you onto the thing. So we are having a problem, and this is a general crisis. It has come through because, basically, because I would say a large part of it, on my discussions with my father, it's about global warming.
Yeah.
Temperature slightly goes up, ice glaciers melt. Now, what happens is after 2-3 kilometers of ice glaciers that melt, there are a lot of dormant viruses that are there right at the bottom of those ice shells. When
Okay.
they fall into the beautiful saline seawater, it is absolutely lovely for them to wake up. So, with time, what's hitting our shores is those dormant viruses which were frozen thanks to global warming are coming back into our coast.
Hmm.
So, if you ask anybody on the pharma industry, they will tell you we are at the zenith of our antibiotics. Basically, we have the strongest now. We don't know how to get stronger with the antibiotics.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we are in that kind of a precipice as of right now. So I would rather say I love organic. but it's a huge eyewash as of right now. It's the same thing where people from the West came in and said, "Don't have ghee." You
Yeah,
know,
because I still remember at one point they were saying, don't eat coconut, I mean, don't consume coconut oil, instead consume processed sunflower oil. And now Robert Downey Jr. goes and says, I use coconut oil in my food. So now it's become a trend in the Western where Indians have shifted to sunflower oil.
such a beautiful point you've made. One of the latest Harvard studies now is saying what we said always, that anything that is made out of the seed of anything, much rather not have the oil from that, because the basic reason the seed is there is to propagate growth. Its
Correct.
protein constants and all is slightly different. So when you're going to heat it, you're going to treat it with some things, there are certain other chemicals that are going to come out.
Absolutely. In my house also we use coconut oil because technically we're Mangaloreans, so we love our coconut oil. So that's one thing that's always been in my house with coconut oil. Now I want to talk about genetically engineered seeds. Uh,
Yeah.
of course, I think it would help a lot of farmers to grow better uh, when it comes to volume. But if it is grown, A, does it actually grow as much as they advertise? And B, is it still considered organic if the practices and the soil is organic?
GMOs or genetically modified crops in the
Hmm.
long run is always going to be a little bit of a problem.
Okay.
Because, see, again, we can go ahead and add characteristics onto the gene, remove characteristics onto the gene. But there is a particular point where it will mutate into one particular section. That's a little bit beyond our control.
Okay.
Okay. Now, for example, you took genetically modified beautiful seeds. It's a variety called Solo in papaya, which
Okay.
does not produce seeds inside. So it's a seedless papaya, which is absolutely brilliant and beautiful, and it's absolutely the five stars lap up to it. But the problem here is that you have messed up with the nature cycle there.
Correct.
Seeds, there is a reason why seeds are produced, and in that particular quantity why those seeds are produced. Now if we got into the actual plant physiology, we'll know. So genetically modified on the whole is not a great idea. Anything that we artificially do is not a great idea, because we have understood nature properly for about 100 years at least, of what we know now.
We were talking about this on the show as well, and I've got a message that came in from Satish. He basically wants to know, he's a layman, and how can one differentiate when they're going to buy? Is it organic or is it not organic? And I think you cleared one point saying organic is not the right word to use. So let's put it this way: is it safe or not safe? How can a layman differentiate that?
Ideally, he cannot, because most of the laymen cannot even differentiate. You send someone who is a little younger into the market, he won't know what tomato is about to rot tomorrow, what will rot today. Forget organic.
Okay.
Organic is too far off, where he'll smell, check, and it's very difficult. Maybe certain cases of grapes, which are right now, grapes are being terribly pumped in with hormones. And
Okay.
because these seedless grapes have thin skins,
Yeah.
okay, and the way they're washed and everything, you can't make out. You really have to check it. So if someone tells me that they can sniff it out, great. I would like to meet you, because I would also like to learn how to do it.
And since you mentioned about growing food, I just remembered Martian, the movie with Matt Damon,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
grows
yeah,
poop potatoes in space. I mean, like you
yeah.
said, even if you have everything, you need to know how to grow it. And I think
Yeah.
that's rightly said, Manu. One last message from a farmer to people listening in who consume probably your produce.
That make sure, like how you take a bath, brush your teeth, you teach your kids and yourself to grow.
Hmm.
Enjoy it. It's a beautiful process. There is no bigger joy than seeing the seed sprout after 4 or 5 days or 6 days, that little germination that happens. There are poems that are based on this beautiful cycle of life. So
Yeah.
enjoy it, push it. We will need this more than ever now. You would know.
Absolutely, and I totally get it because this is what happened to in my house. I think about 8, 9 years back, when my mother said, "Let's do terrace farming." And now it's just that we have our own tomatoes, we grow our own chilies. So when you see them grow, and then when she makes maybe like a tomato soup out of it, just tastes different because we have grown it, and it's just that happiness, even though it has no taste. It's the same as maybe what she would have prepared with tomatoes brought from store, but that feeling that hey, this is grown in on top of our house,
Mine.
that is what I think is really important. Manu, thank you so much for taking some time out, having a wonderful conversation about organic farming and breaking a few myths about it. We'll catch up soon and have a wonderful day ahead.
I'd just like to thank you and Radio Indigo for actually giving me the opportunity. I have shared my practical experience. I could have made a few mistakes. Do correct me if I'm wrong. But I just would like to thank you guys for actually taking this up. Rohit, best of luck, and I hope there are more enthusiasts that move to the farm now, and reduce the little traffic jam updates that you guys give.
Yeah, it's absolutely madness. I think that's something we should do. But thank you so much, Manu. Have a wonderful day ahead.